Wasn't random, then it became much easier to believe that what had happened to Sam could happen to anyone. Follow the logic, and it wasn't that huge a leap to believe that you might be next. But Sam hadn't been in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was nothing random about his murder. Whoever had done this had targeted him. They'd fantasized about what they wanted to do, then they'd worked out a way to turn fantasy into reality. Most importantly, they'd looked long and hard at how they could burn Sam up and get away with it. That last detail was crucial. Getting away with it. That's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Committing a crime is relatively easy. Any fool can do that. Committing a crime and getting away with it, now that's tough. So far, the plan was working just fine. Sam was dead, and the guy responsible was out there somewhere, free to go on living his life as though nothing had ever happened. Right now, he was probably enjoying a celebratory breakfast in a diner somewhere. Eggs sunny side up, a tower of pancakes drenched in maple syrup, bacon crisped to perfection, and a gallon of coffee to wash it all down. Or maybe he was at work doing the 9-to-5 thing. Handshakes and back slaps and a post-mortem of last night's ball game around the water cooler. A game he hadn't seen because he'd been busy elsewhere. A game whose details he'd picked up from the sports pages. Until the email dropped into my inbox 10 minutes ago, I'd never heard of Sam Galloway. Now all I could think about was Sam and what had happened to him and who might be responsible, particularly that last one. I glanced at the laptop screen, glanced at the suitcase on the bed. I'd been in South Carolina for the past 2 weeks hunting down a killer called Carl Tyndall, and now Carl was in custody. It was time to move on to the next case. Up until 5 minutes ago, that had been a serial rapist who was targeting prostitutes in Honolulu. These weren't your high-end girls. These were your nickel-and-dime whores, the lowest of the low, girls that the world had all but given up on. That didn't mean they shouldn't have justice. As far as I'm concerned, every victim matters. You could be royalty or a junkie whore. It makes no difference to me. The flights and hotel were booked, my suitcase packed, and I was more than ready to get out of Charleston. Not because there was anything wrong with Charleston. There wasn't. It's just that I'd been here for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is pretty much my limit for staying anywhere these days. I glanced at the laptop again. One thing I'd had to learn fast during my FBI days was how to prioritize. Resources were always stretched to breaking point because there were too many bad guys out there. The latest victim had just been found in Hawaii, so time was on our side there. It would be a while before that guy struck again. But with this Sam Galloway thing, the clock was ticking loud and fast. The way I figured it, I could postpone going to Hawaii for a few days, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference to what was happening over there. The email had come from Sheriff Peter Forche of the Dayton Parish Sheriff's Department, down in Eagle Creek, Louisiana. I'd never heard of Dayton or Eagle Creek or Sheriff Forche, which wasn't surprising, considering the U.S. has a land mass of 3.8 million square miles and a population in the region of 1/3 billion. The video clip attached to the email was interesting because I rarely got to see killers at work. Usually, all I saw was the end result. Sometimes there was a corpse, sometimes not. Sometimes there wasn't even a crime scene. During my time with the FBI, I'd interviewed dozens of serial criminals, so I had plenty of first-hand accounts stored away, albeit biased ones. But it didn't matter how fresh the body was or how detailed the account, there was no substitute for witnessing something with your own 2 eyes, even if you were only witnessing it through the lens of someone else's camera. This guy wasn't the first killer to film his work, and he wouldn't be the last. However, this was the exception rather than the rule. It's common knowledge that serial killers often keep trophies to fuel their fantasies, but these tended to be obscure, innocent-looking mementos that hold significance only for the killer. An article of clothing, a lock of hair, maybe an earring. Filming was rare because it was risky. If the wrong person saw it, how the hell did you explain that one away? I played the film clip a second time. The picture quality was good, sharp, and defined. No shake, which meant the camera had been mounted on a tripod.